All right, Chiefs Kingdom, let's talk about something that's been buzzing in the NFL world, PFF's all-time NFL team. Now, if you're like most die-hard Chiefs fans, you probably clicked on that headline thinking, finally some well-earned respect for our legends. But then you read the list, and you're left scratching your head. Is this praise? Or is it just another example of national media throwing us a bone while ignoring the bigger picture? Pro Football Focus, or PFF for short, dropped what they're calling the ultimate roster of NFL greats. It's their take on the best players ever at every position, based on years of grading and analytics. Sounds cool in theory, right? But when you actually go down the list, things get a little weird, especially when it comes to the Kansas City Chiefs. On the one hand, they give props to Patrick Mahomes and Tony Gonzalez. That's something. Mahomes is already a two-time MVP, two-time Super Bowl champ, and the heart of the modern dynasty. Tony G? He changed the tight end position forever. So, credit where it's due. But here's where it gets strange. Some absolute Chiefs icons were nowhere to be found. And one name that's causing an uproar among fans? Travis Kelce. We'll get into that snub later, but let's just say it's the kind of omission that makes you question how these lists are even made. So in this video, we're going to break the whole thing down. Who made the list, who got left out, and what PFF's logic really tells us about how the Chiefs are viewed on the national stage. Is it real respect or just surface-level praise covering up deeper bias? Stick with me, because we're not just listing names, we're calling out the inconsistencies and standing up for the kingdom. And hey, before we dive into the names, I gotta ask you, do you actually trust rankings like this from PFF, or do you think they usually miss the mark? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Also, make sure you're subscribed to Total Chiefs News. We're pushing for 4,000 subscribers, and if you're all about Chiefs truth and real talk, this is the place to be. All right, now that we've set the stage, let's give credit where it's due. Despite some head-scratching omissions, the PFF all-time NFL team did get a few things right when it comes to the Kansas City Chiefs. Some of our franchise's greatest legends made the cut, and honestly, their inclusion was non-negotiable. Let's start with the obvious one, Patrick Mahomes. No surprises here. Even now, though he's still writing his story, Mahomes has already done more in his first 6 seasons than most quarterbacks do in their entire careers. 2 MVPs, 3 Super Bowl appearances, 2 rings, and a highlight reel that just doesn't stop. PFF placing Mahomes on the list shows they at least recognize what we've all known for a while. We're witnessing greatness in real time. Next up, Tony Gonzalez. Now this one feels like a win for Chiefs fans everywhere. Tony G might have finished his career in Atlanta, but we know where he made his name. Over 900 catches and nearly 11,000 of his total yards came in a Chiefs uniform. He redefined what a tight end could do. Big, athletic, dominant, and dependable. For many fans, he is the blueprint. And then there's Willie Lanier. Not as flashy as some modern names, but if you know your Chiefs' history, you know he was an anchor on that legendary defense. He brought leadership, toughness, and intelligence to the linebacker position and helped KC win its first Super Bowl back in 1970. Getting recognized on this list is a nod to how foundational he was to our franchise's legacy. Now look, it's great to see Mahomes, Gonzalez, and Lanier on there, but here's the thing. It makes the other omissions even more glaring. It's like they acknowledge the greatness, but only in part. And that's what we're digging into next. But before we move on, let me throw a couple questions your way. Is Tony Gonzalez the greatest tight end of all time? Yes or no? And tell me in the comments, which Chiefs legend do you think deserves more love from the national media? Also, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and tap the bell. Total Chiefs News is your home for real talk and real Chiefs football all day, every day. We're aiming for 4,000 subscribers. Let's get there together. Now here's where things get frustrating. We talked about the legends who made the list. Mahomes, Gonzalez, Lanier, and yeah, that's great. But the omissions, some of them are just flat-out disrespectful. Let's start with the biggest head-scratcher, Travis Kelce. You mean to tell me the most dominant tight end of the modern era didn't make PFF's all-time NFL team? That's not just an oversight. That's a slap in the face. Kelce isn't just good. He's historic. We're talking 7 straight 1,000-yard seasons at tight end. No one else has done that. Not Tony Gonzalez, not Rob Gronkowski, not Shannon Sharp. And let's not forget how he shows up when it matters. Most postseason after postseason, Kelce delivers. He and Mahomes are rewriting playoff record books in real time. So why leave him off? Because he's still active? Because he hasn't hit some arbitrary milestone? Come on. If Mahomes is good enough to make the list while still playing, there's no reason Kelce shouldn't be right there with him. And it doesn't stop there. Where's Derek Thomas? The man was a force of nature. 90 sacks in his first 6 seasons. 7 Pro Bowls, an NFL record, 7 sacks in a single game. That still stands. Ask any offensive tackle from the 90s if they enjoyed lining up across from 58. You know what the answer is. Leaving Derek off this list is a reminder that sometimes stats and film still don't get the respect they deserve, especially when they come from a smaller market like Kansas City. You've got to wonder, if these same players had spent their whole careers with the Cowboys, Steelers, or 49ers, would they be overlooked like this? Let's get real. Chiefs Kingdom has every right to feel slighted. We're not just watching greatness now. We've had it in our DNA for decades. The league may just be catching up, but we've always known. So what do you think? Does Travis Kelce get enough respect around the league, or is he still underrated? Let me know in the comments. And hey, if you think Kelce belongs on any all-time team, smash that like button right now. Let's make sure the world hears us loud and clear. All right, let's try to make sense of this. Or at least try. What exactly was PFF thinking when they put this list together? What's their logic? And where does it go completely off the rails, especially when it comes to the Chiefs? According to PFF, this all-time NFL team was based on their decades of grading and analysis. That sounds good on paper, but let's be honest, analytics aren't perfect. They can tell you a lot, but they can also miss what actually matters when the game's on the line. For example, it seems like PFF leans heavily into longevity. That's why you see guys with long careers, even if they weren't the most dominant at their peak, making the list. But that doesn't explain leaving off someone like Kelce, who's been at the top of his position for nearly a decade now. And it definitely doesn't explain why someone like Derek Thomas isn't in the conversation. Another issue? There's a clear bias toward older players. And I mean way older. Don't get me wrong. The legends of the past deserve respect. But the game has evolved. Today's athletes are faster, stronger, and playing in more complex systems. Ignoring modern dominance in favor of nostalgic greatness just doesn't sit right, especially when it excludes guys who are changing the game right in front of us. And maybe this is the most frustrating part. PFF tries to come off as objective, but their picks still reflect the same old media patterns. Big market teams get the benefit of the doubt. Smaller market dynasties like the Chiefs? We have to prove ourselves 10 times over, even after back-to-back Super Bowls. So tell me, do you think analysts focus too much on old-school players when ranking all-time teams? I really want to hear your take on this in the comments. And if you're tired of the national media getting it wrong, stick with us. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Total Chiefs News is where Chiefs fans get the respect they deserve. All right, let's wrap this up with the most important takeaway. Chiefs Kingdom doesn't need a national list to validate what we already know. We've witnessed greatness, past and present, right here in Kansas City, and no amount of selective recognition from PFF or anyone else is going to change that. Look, we get it. Media outlets love their headlines and highlight reels, but what they sometimes forget is that true fans live this stuff every single day. We've seen Patrick Mahomes redefine what it means to play quarterback. We've watched Travis Kelce become the ultimate mismatch nightmare. We've felt the energy of Derek Thomas off the edge and the toughness of Willie Lanier anchoring the defense. These aren't just names on a list. They're memories, moments, and legacies that shaped who we are as fans. And if the so-called experts can't see that, that's on them. Because here in Chiefs Kingdom, we celebrate our own. We don't need outside approval to recognize Hall of Fame talent. We cheer the loudest, show up in the worst weather, and defend our team like family, because that's exactly what it is. So when a list like this comes out and gives half credit, we call it out. Respect is earned, and we've earned plenty of it. But if we're still not getting it from the media, that's all right. Because guess what? The dynasty is far from over. More wins are coming. More records will fall. And pretty soon, the league won't be able to ignore the greatness coming out of Kansas City. Let's keep pushing for that 4,000 subscriber mark. If you believe in this team, if you believe in our history and our future, subscribe to Total Chiefs News, like the video, share it with your crew. And before you go, answer this in the comments. Who's the most disrespected Chiefs legend of all time? Let's give them the spotlight they deserve.